Hey there, Rednecks, Preppies, Redneck Preppies. It's me, the Redneck Preppy. How you doing today? Great? Good. So the pastime of off-roading continues to grow in popularity as new people enter it. That said, new drivers, old mistakes. So today is a public service to new off-roaders. I just wanted to go over some of the common mistakes that are made. For the record, I'm aiming this video at people who drive vehicles, things like Jeeps, Broncos, pickups, whatever it may be. I don't know a damn thing about ATVs and side-by-sides, so some of this stuff may not pertain to you. Anyway, with that aside, let's get on to the list. So if you're a part of your local off-road scene, wherever you are, you probably have something, most likely on Facebook, that if people get stuck, they can leave a message with a map, GPS coordinates, whatever it may be, asking others to come out and help them. And people generally do because we take care of our own in the 4x4 / off-road community. And it seems to me that something like 90% of the people who are posting these messages are doing the exact same thing. They're going out by themselves, as in with a single vehicle. At any rate, one of the top mistakes that new and admittedly experienced off-roaders make is going out by themselves. This is a bad idea for a number of reasons. One, if you get stuck, then obviously you're not going to have anyone else there to render aid to help you get out. Two, if something serious happens, crash, medical emergency, whatever it may be, you may not have someone out there to be able to render immediate assistance or get the word out that you need help badly. And if you truly go by yourself, as in just you and your vehicle, you miss having a spotter, which is really useful when you're off-roading. Now, I know you have a capable vehicle and you're an experienced and awesome driver. You know what that means? When you get stuck, you really get stuck, and that means you need someone out there to help you out. So regardless, please be safe and go out there with at least another vehicle. Okay, another mistake that new off-roaders often make is not being prepared. And it's astounding to me how many people hit the trails, mud, rocks, whatever your jam may be, without being prepared in the slightest. You know, they go out with no recovery equipment at all. They don't have food or water in case they have to spend the night out there. They have no provision for keeping warm if it gets cold. They don't even have the basic tools to try and fix an issue. If you're going to go out, make sure you have some recovery equipment. I got a video that I made a couple years ago. What's in my recovery gear bag? The video's in the description below. Check it out. Having a basic first aid kit, as well as learning first aid, is a pretty solid idea. Carrying a cooler with some, bottles of water, sandwiches, cheap, easy, and if you need food at some point, you got it with you. A blanket in the back doesn't take up much room. Toss in a basic survival kit as well. I have a ton of videos on survival kits that you can watch. Again, links in the description below. Have a fire extinguisher. Have a CB radio to communicate with the other people in your party. I know a lot of people rely on what's called the buddy principle, which is, basically relying on your buddy to have everything that you need. There might be a day when buddy isn't around and you're unprepared for a bad spot. Plus, it's bad trail manners to go and not at least be partly self-sufficient. So be prepared. Another mistake that plenty of off-roaders make is not having a capable vehicle. I know it's counterintuitive, but some people go out there and the craziest stuff. Something like a Jeep is a very capable vehicle. And I think, in fact, most people would be surprised at how capable even a stock Jeep is. A few years ago, Chrysler, or FCA, whatever they're calling themselves these days, even ran a stock Sahara down the infamous Rubicon Trail in Northern California, and it survived. Admittedly with a lot of damage, but it did survive. That said, there is the right kind of vehicle out there to have, and the wrong kind of vehicle. And what you want to do depends on what kind of vehicle and its capabilities you want to have. A rig for overlanding isn't necessarily the same thing as a rock crawler or a sand beast or a mudder. And also, just because your Jeep has a trail rated badge doesn't necessarily mean that you should be rock climbing with it. Your Ford might have the Bronco nameplate, but is it the off-road Bronco or is it that Bronco Sport thing? You can risk your trail-rated Jeep Compass or Bronco Sport on some hairy things, but be prepared that it might not go to plan. And depending on what you do, think about upgrading your vehicle, getting tires more appropriate to off-roading, for example. Perhaps a lift kit at some point to accommodate larger tires. Upgraded suspension components that are designed for off-roading. You know, sky's the limit. There's no requirement to have a $100,000 rig just to do, local trails, for the vast majority of people at least. But if you're going to get into the sport, rolling out in a Ford Escape is probably a pretty bad idea. So, have a capable vehicle. Okay, another mistake that a lot of off-roaders make just getting in the sport is running before they can walk. Now, there's something to be said for confidence. There's another thing to be said for overconfidence. Most people are understandably nervous when they're going out for their first ride because they don't know what they're in for. If they're out with a good group of people, they'll be started off slow before gradually that difficulty level gets ramped up. That said, there's always a new subset of drivers out there who think they're amazing drivers and should be unleashed immediately on level 5 trails at Moab or Rubicon Trail. They watched way too many videos on YouTube and they don't think there's that much to it. If some idiot rednecks can do it, who can't? If you're new to off-roading, make sure you get hooked up with a good group of people. They're there to make sure you get home in one piece and also temper you a little bit if maybe you get a little too enthusiastic. They aren't disrespecting your God-given talents and gifts by telling you that maybe you should take the easy road around an obstacle. They're just teaching you the technical part of off-roading in easily digestible chunks. There's a lot of fun that can be had on fairly easy trails, and a lot of them have side areas that you can play in once you get a little more experienced. And pay attention to your spotter. Okay, another mistake that people make when they first get into off-roading is not ensuring their vehicle has no issues. There's nothing more frustrating than when somebody shows up to an excursion and they laughably and seriously note that they hope their brakes don't fail, or they're amazed their suspension is still holding together despite the fact that it's being held together with JB Weld and prayer. Off-roading can be hard on a vehicle, and the last place you want a failure is out on the trail. If it can't be fixed out there, someone else is going to have to drag you out, assuming that's even possible, and you might end up causing issues for other people. I think dodgy brakes aren't really an issue that impacts anyone else. What if you're on a serious incline downwards, waiting for the next vehicle to, cross an obstacle, water, whatever it may be, and suddenly your brakes start to go? Slamming into the back of the vehicle in front of you doesn't earn you popularity points, especially if you knew coming out that something like your brakes were going to be an issue. Make sure your vehicle is sorted out and there are no medium to serious issues in your rig. Your air conditioning doesn't work, no one cares. Engine dies randomly at inopportune moments, you're eventually going to get some side eyes. So, get it ready before you go out. So I couldn't just stop at 5. No. One more mistake that new people make when they're new to off-roading is cheaping out on whatever upgrades they make to their vehicle. Folks, buy once, cry once is actually a good philosophy. You may be taking your vehicle to some very crazy spots. Do you really trust some Chinesium lift when you need it the most? Or that your recovery gear isn't going to fail when you need it the most? You know what? Do your research, save your money, then spend it wisely. It's better to spend 2 to 3 times as much on a part, component, equipment, gear, whatever it may be, like a quality lift, for example, than buying a bargain basement version that's going to end up causing you nothing but mechanical issues. Speaking from personal experience, or will give you lousy driving characteristics or failure on the trail. So, spend the money when you have to. So that is just 6 actually, I guess, things that beginners going off-roading for the first time should avoid doing. It wasn't my intention to scare you away. It was to urge you to off-road responsibly. Compared to the price of your vehicle, much of what's on this list can be accomplished with reasonable cost, and they'll make your trips much more enjoyable. Now, off-roading is a great way of meeting new people, challenging yourself, enjoying the beauty of the great outdoors. Get out there, but do it the right way. Don't leave a mess behind you. You know, a lot of off-road trails are being targeted by environmentalists and governments. Sometimes because a few off-roaders are jackasses and give a reason for them to get involved. Or sometimes it's just because busybodies want to be busybodies. Let's not give them any excuse, okay? At any rate, I hope you found this video to be vaguely informative and mildly entertaining. As always, get out there, have a great time, but do it safely and responsibly. Take care, and bye-bye.